General Practice is an artist-run space. Originally a house retrofitted to be a gallery, General Practice was founded by Carlos Regal, Yvette Yanes, Nick Klein, and Viking Funeral. General Practice presents projects in New York, and Miami.
Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of General Practice Presents. This specific episode today is about general practice and how it started, why it started, where it started, its brief and interesting history as a space, as a television show, as a revolving space, as a space that's moved around from Miami to New York a few times, put together different kinds of exhibitions, different kinds of performances, different kinds of music activities, and also its current space and or place, the television show or the internet show or interview show, all those things. So let's begin. Let's begin with a short history of General Practice Presents. So General Practice starts off, in Miami during this pretty fucked up time of fraudulent banking. There was something went awry, and spaces were plentiful, and that's where this kind of deliberate experimentation came from. And I'm not sure if it's great or if it sucks that it happened, but it happened. And that's what happened. The years roughly 2008, 2009. The banking crisis is revealed, and people start to foreclose on their homes. In New York, it's not hit nearly as hard, but in Miami, it's hit pretty hard. People really start to foreclose on their homes, and this is kind of what Miami looks like at the moment. Miami that already kind of acts and functions like the third world goes into actual third world, actually goes into a third world kind of situation. In this way, the artists start not to obviously pay attention to the market as much. And in Miami, that's really important, the market. But 2009, 2010, there is no market. But spaces are cheap to free. And this is a good time, usually, for artists, musicians, you name it, to explore and to explore the boundaries of their community, their medium, things of that nature. So with that, general practice comes from that. Leonard Takmis had a home. He had bought a home in Wynwood, and like many others had needed to foreclose on the home. He approached me, or should I say we ran into each other. We ran into each other at Enriqueta's, the infamous Cuban restaurant in Wynwood, close to, I guess, what was once Wynwood and now is Midtown or whatever the fuck it is they say down there. Ran into him, and he's like, "Hey, Carlos, remember that house that I had bought in Wynwood?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, man, it's a beautiful house. It's a real beautiful house. These are some of the pictures from the inside of what it looked like when I got it." It's like, "Yeah, do you want to live in it? I'm foreclosing on it and trying to just have someone in there so vagrants don't take over the property. I'll live in it. Let's put together some programming." And the people are Viking Funeral and Yvette Yanes, and then eventually Nick Klein. This is the outside of the home right now, as you see. He said, "Well, what should we do?" So, well, what I would like to do is basically fill a need. And the association that people had with the arts at the time and before that was a very kind of cheerful arts, because that's what was being shown for the most part. I shouldn't say cheerful, but there was definitely more rainbows and sunshine art and just general finished shiny objects with rainbow kind of pastiche things on them for the most part. There wasn't anywhere to be dark, and any place that was supportive of the dark arts, other than Churchill's in reality. So from that comes the desire to make a space for that. And something else happened during this time. There wasn't as much money. There was more space. Different things happened. Things like the arts and community happened. So with that, that's kind of what general practice comes from. It comes from this murky, uncivilized, ruly environment. That's where general practice comes from. And the content of general practice comes from the desire to show a kind of darkness, to distribute a kind of darkness, to experiment. Heavy experimentation going on. Hey, Moquito. This is a neighborhood guy who lived in and around general practice. Really a sweet guy. His name was Mosquito. The neighborhood was littered with these funny alleys. God knows what actually went on in the alleys. Actually, all of us knew what went on in the alleys. The arts lived hand in hand with crime. With crime. This was the neighborhood at the moment. This is Northeast 2nd Ave, 41st. This is where general practice was. All this kind of stuff. All these places now are gone. The obvious resurrection of the faux economy has happened again there, and we're back to one. But this kind of gives you a look into what it was like. This is what the place actually looked like. The first exhibition was called Tombs. It was called Tombs because it was the day between Easter and Good Friday when Jesus was in the tombs. As you could see from the previous pictures, general practice was around various churches and things of that nature, so it was quite the party and going on around this neighborhood, which was generally Haitian or Puerto Rican, and all these churches had various festivities around that day, and Tombs opens on the day between those days. 5 bands playing in 5 rooms. So there were 5 rooms inside the space, and Slash Pine, Skunk Ape, Ball Scarf, and Snake Hole, and Viking Funeral all played within the show. This is Ball Scarf here. So the kind of layout of the exhibition was you'd have, say, Ball Scarf performing. They'd play for about a half an hour or so. And then you'd have, immediately after they were done, you'd have Viking Funeral play in the kitchen. Immediately after Viking Funeral, you'd have Snake Hole, and immediately after them, you'd have Skunk Ape, and immediately after then, finishing the night was Slash Pine. So it started off in the kitchen with Viking Funeral. So Viking Funeral played their set. They are getting ready. Then immediately after they played their set, which is this right here, it goes into, here's Carlos Esquira of Viking Funeral at the moment performing in the kitchen. Kitchen was packed with people, which was pretty fun to see. So immediately after that, you go into a different room. You see the procession happening here. This is Skunk Ape. They played in a green room, green camouflage room. Smoky. It was very, very smoky. I had to turn off all the fire alarms at once. And then we go to Ball Scarf. Ball Scarf was an interesting performance. Basically, this man, Aidan Dillard, fantastic performance artist, performed inside of this room, and with Nick Ruiz and Jay Hines. There was a giant blow-up. There was a giant blow-up house in there. And the blow-up house blew up until it filled up the room and no one could be left inside the room. It was a really, really good performance. It was very loud. It's kind of wild, kind of amazing in all honesty. And you could see the group of people just kind of there watching this performative thing happened. That was, in all honesty, just kind of an amazing moment. Balskarf went on to do various other performances around town. The next room, which was right next to where Balskarf performed at Slash Pine. Slash Pine is a kind of, at the time, thrash doom metal-ish band made up of a really interesting group of guys. And their set had many candles and altar-like sacrificial paraphernalia a la 70s B-horror or something. It was pretty rad. It was also a great time. This is the first exhibition that happened at General Practice, actually. Tombs. So from Tombs, we go to an exhibition called Split. Split was an exhibition with a performative aspect to it, as well as visual art aspect to it. The artists were Moira Hallahan, Nick Klein, Andrea Oliveira. What the performance basically had inside of it was Andrea was smashing drywall against the wall. The walls were mic'd up and going through pedals, and there was various sounds happening in that room. In the other room, Nick Klein was also making a kind of noise performative sound image relationship thing happening, and it was pretty awesome to go back between both spaces. Moira Hallahan at the time had just started really kind of showing her work around Miami and stuff, and she was a friend from graduate school, and we linked up, and I thought her work made a lot of sense. Here's the room that Andrea was working in, right? That's the aftermath of that. It's a bunch of scratching on the drywall, which was pretty interesting. That made a really great sound. It's like the drywall would get sponged against her, then like brought down. It was pretty gnarly thing. It would make this kind of drawing that you see here. See that drawing? See that drawing? You see it? That's what the performance did. It left that kind of indexical mark making on there. It was like that. And that's what happened. This is the work of Moira Hallahan. It's sideways. There it is. That's her work right there. So these are the sculptures she had, which are these like kind of fabric-y, weird, monstrous things that were basically at work at an office is kind of the content of that work. They were like on a Xerox copy machine, like Xeroxing their butt or something. It's pretty funny, weird stuff. It's good. Very good work, especially in the context of that exhibition. Whoops. So, yep, there you have it. That's kind of that's the work of Moira Hallahan. Again, that room in particular was really satisfying. Ooh, now what we have is the micro show. The micro show was something that General Practice hosted. And what that means is that it wasn't exactly a General Practice organized exhibition, but it was hosted by General Practice, and it's a General Practice show. It was 30 bands in 60 minutes, I believe, roughly 30 bands in 30 minutes. So this is an exhibition that took place primarily through Spring Break the End Domingo's gang, Domingo and Patty Her, Kiwi Farah, Catherine Marks, and Ruthless Records. General Practice hosted their event, and their event was 30 bands in 30 minutes roughly. So basically similar to the first exhibition we did, their Tombs. Each room had bands, but they would quickly set up and put back and set up and reconfigure their equipment and work again very quickly in a very fast and deliberate manner. So the performances range from, say, music-like performances to more performative things in the traditional kind of art way or something. There was cars parked all around the entire neighborhood. It was like a fair almost. Like there was just so many people all over the neighborhood, kind of walking into this exhibition slash performative environment in the arts, in sound, in music, in performance. It was pretty sections, because both of these artists seem to use things like sections in a real woody way. So what we had was, this is actually night of the show, the kind of folks that were around for it. You see some artists and various folks from the neighborhood. Actually, you see Catherine Mikesell and Dan Mikesell there with their son, Galt. Yeah, I believe it's Galt. There are the Mikesells there again. Ryan Roy later on actually went to do their residency program. There's Dan there with Ryan's work. This is Jackie Falcone hanging out at the art opening. But eventually, this is more of the kind of things that happened. Well, not eventually, more. This was something that happened in general practice as well, where you'd have more of these formal artworks in the same space that had very non-traditional artistic practices happening. And there it is. These are laser levels by Jerome Nellemans. And the levels kind of make this Mondrian-like shape, I believe, is what he was after at that moment in time. Here's Roa again, showing off his... actually, it's important to note here what these are made of here. Look at the two kind of like oddly similar shapes. And that's what we're going for with this exhibition, a more like a formal kind of read on it, where you had something as simple as similar shapes and artists that use sections and work through that to make a coherent exhibition of sorts. And it seemed to work. I felt like it worked. It was an experiment. Maybe it didn't work. That wasn't the point. The point was to continue to experiment, continue to work. The name of this exhibition was Jammed. This was probably one of the more ambitious exhibitions that took place here. We had L'Oreal Bertrand, who basically made these marble walls, faux finished marble walls. We had Farley Aguilar. We had Laz. We had Viking Funeral in the exhibition. And we had Dana Furora. This is Rob. This is Ra, Mr. Rob Lowe. He was a person who lived in the neighborhood. He's next to Farley Aguilar's work there. Ra was like the patron saint of general practice. I don't think we would have been able to do a single thing at general practice really without him working with us and working through us. He was a big part of general practice, big part of the neighborhood, big community member. Pretty much what he said goes in that neighborhood, and it was fantastic to work with Ra. Here's some of the folks here at general practice. Here you can see L'Oreal's fake marble wall back there. Aramis and some other friends. Brookhart Jonquil, who we later lived with. Because it's me and Nick Klein that live there. Here's you can see Liz Tracy in pink there, and Liz Ferrara, two Liz's. Domingo and someone I think that's quasi-famous, all hanging out at this exhibition. I forgot what this guy's name was. People think he's great. I don't. So that's what L'Oreal's wall looked like. Beautiful marble, just absolutely precious. Oh my God. Just loved living in this environment at the time. It was just gorgeous. Look at it. Look at how beautiful that is. So what happened is L'Oreal basically did this fake marble wall. Farley then came and hung his paintings on it, or should we say we hung Farley's paintings for him on it. This was a really special room in general practice because there was a giant hole in the ceiling. So it already had its own gravitas, if you will. Rob Lowe was a big part of that. Contributed to the darkness. There's once again the porno. 1 second, let's go back to the porno. There it is right there. Oops, let's see. Right over there. See that? In that same room where that photograph is being displayed, there was a porno made. Not by me, but a porno made at general practice and distributed in the internet world. So for a moment in time there, general practice also served as a place to shoot porn. We rented it as a porn set of sorts. Not very often. Not very often. Unfortunately, those opportunities dried up fairly quickly. And what Three Performances was these three performance artists, Misael Soto, Dim Past, and Ana Mendez. Misael Soto, Ana Mendez, and Dim Past, and a surprise performance. I don't remember who this guy was that played, but he was kind of incredible. But it was a surprise performance. And the gist was that you basically have these three performances taking place in rooms all throughout general practice, which was a home and a performance space and an art space and a studio. So all the rooms would be occupied with performances that also had visual art in them. Anna, who is a tremendous performance artist, dancer, tremendous. Here's Misael, there's Amanda, there's Nick Lobo. Here's Anna's performance. Anna's performance, it took place at the top of the staircase, because the space had a staircase, and it was this mirrored performance where you could only see it from the bottom of the staircase, looking up, and there was like a mirror or something that was the actual image that you could see through the staircase. It's hard to describe. It was pretty awesome. Misael Soto, on the other hand, did a performance where he went around the house acting as if no one else was there, almost. Here's Dim Past performing under Viking Funeral's Neon, which made sense since Viking Funeral was very much an installation, sculptural experiment, basically. Here's Alan. Look at that. Alan Gutierrez of now Michael John or Gutierrez John, whatever it is they call themselves, fame. This is a performance with firecrackers inside of the art space, live space, performance space. It was loud as hell. Here's the, again, aforementioned performer that I didn't know was going to perform. That was a really interesting performance where he was shaking a bone in a microphone inside of it where fireworks were going off. It's pretty hot. Pretty hot day. Experimenting was the norm. People didn't do normal things in general practice. And thank God, there's Nick Klein again, who is a big contributor, part of general practice, obviously. Now has a label called Primitive Languages, based in Brooklyn. Here's that. So we go on to Misael's performance. And what Misael did was basically take a shower downstairs. The bathroom had the bathroom was downstairs where you showered, where I showered. And as a performance, he went about going about his daily routine, which was things like showering. So people just kind of gathered and watched Misael shower. No penis pics. I didn't take any penis pics. But the ladies were in the house, that's for sure. And they were really, checking out Misael shower. Here they are, extremely happy. Interesting. So as there's firecrackers going off and bones being struck against the ground, and Ana Mendez is upstairs doing this kind of very surreal performance that you could only see up the stairs. There's also Misael showering and people watching that. But by the end of the run in this home, the magic was high. It's a high magic time. The showering, the performance, the puzzle, the sound work, the art, it was all up at the same time. There's fake marble walls. There's some weird flipper dolphin sculpture sticking in the middle of it. There's these ghostly paintings up of life. The neighborhood would come in and hang out eventually. As we became comfortable with them and they became comfortable with us, the entire neighborhood was invited to hang out, and they did. With a group of artists that were collaborating, and I thought in a very interesting way. Their name was Jack Roy. And this was their exhibition in the basement. It was basically numerous amounts of one-of-a-kind multiples of sorts, let's say. So it would be, these Stella paintings, or these Warhol Martin Creed balloons, or, say, two of Felix's clocks, or various things of that nature. It was a pretty interesting exhibition, to say the least. Martin Creed balloons in front of the Stellas that were made for the exhibition. And the basement is proved to be a unique situation. It's weird down there. It's a weird basement, and this exhibition took advantage of how weird it actually was. They had made a wall in front of this area there, and then they had ripped it out and then put it on the other side. I loved it. Still do. These are the Felix Gonzalez Torres double watches. Perfect lovers sample of sorts. I think it's a sample. This is Walker Evans over here and Keith Haring. The next show was Credit for the Discontent, and it had visual artist Allison Evans in it, visual artist and writer Darren Jones, and visual artist, gallerist, pontificator Domingo Castillo in it as well. And this also took place in the basement of General Practice. And this is the work that was shown. Pretty fun stuff. This is Allison Evans' work right here. These are these very, to say the least, fantastic drawings. To say the least, fantastic drawings. This is how we decided to show them, again, on this kind of like fake wall thing. This is Darren Jones, The Dawn of a Post-Freedom Era. And the significance of the dawn of a post-freedom era is, of course, I think it's pretty self-explanatory in the days of surveillance that we're in now. With that, here's Domingo Castillo's work. This is actually a work that was made at General Practice, and it's a lazy Susan spinning around in circles, and it was a Craigslist ad. We're going to edit it into this thing for sure, because it was a cool thing, and it was made at GP. So this exhibition had artists living and working in Miami and living and working in New York in it, basically. So you have Nick Klein's work, you have Jack Roy's work, you have Martin Murphy's work, you had Allison Evans in the exhibition. It was called Sunk. It took place during the same time as the art fairs in Miami, which of course are so important. And it was Viking Funeral in the exhibition as well. The fun thing about remaking these paintings for Jack Roy and showing them along other works was that you had suicide platitudes on the bottom. So say underneath the paintings it would be in vinyl suicide platitudes sorts. I shouldn't be speaking for these artists. Next to Damon Hirst, here's a bathroom. There was a little Ryman work in the bathroom. Really well placed. No one ever said that life was fair. Yeah. Thank God it's not fair. Don't give up, huh? You like that? I did. There you can see Martin Murphy's piece there in the background. See that video back there just kind of in the air? That's Martin Murphy's work. That's Nick Klein. That's Jack Roy. The name of the artist was Nina Hartman. That's the artist that was name I was missing. Sorry, guys. Nina Hartman was her name. That's Sunk for you. Pretty great exhibition.